Everyone, it's Angelica Cheyenne, aka the Chocolate Diva. I am here with director, singer-songwriter, and martial artist Jeni Jones. And stay tuned for this episode of the Chocolate Diva Chronicles. And a martial artist, I welcome Jeni Jones. Hi, Jeni.
Hi, how are you?
It's so good to see you again. I am great. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I feel like since I saw you last, we've started like 10 different conversations via text message, and then I'm like, wait, I want to finish the conversation. So I'm really excited to be here and pick up where we left off. What I was telling you before we started.
Yes, please. Okay, so before we started this, we were talking about pants because as always, we love fashion.
Yeah.
And I saw her outfit and I was like, okay, you look adorable. And she was going on about her pants. So I told her, we're going to do it for the show. So tell everybody about your special pants.
Long and short of it is I don't normally wear white pants because I'm very accident prone, very clumsy. And I dumped things on them. These lasted approximately 10 minutes before I dumped the coffee on them. But what I was going to say was that I'm a brand ambassador for Z Cavaricci, which is the pants that they wore on Saved by the Bell. So I feel as cool as AC Slater in these pants. I feel like Zach Morris. I feel amazing. And they are the sweetest, nicest people. But I am clumsy. So I watch her, and it's flawless.
Right.
Like, it's flawless. It's like, even if she falls down, it's flawless.
I feel like she has the best showmanship.
Yes,
dancing.
she's amazing.
I feel like I'm partial. I love Janet. I used to imitate her as a kid. Her walk, her.
But I remember reading an article that I think it said Madonna ran 10 miles every day while singing her entire show. And I was always like, oh, my gold, and then I'm like, I can't even run like 2 miles.
How do they not get sore throat? Like, if I talk and run at the same time, I get winded. And it's like, oh, it feels like acid in the throat. How are you singing?
Yeah.
And,
I can barely do it.
And doing all at the same time.
But anyway, so those are some people I obviously there's a million performers.
We can talk about this all day.
I know.
And I can feel we have a lot of the same people we love equally. Now, on your Instagram story, we talked about this, but you had a little incident with everyone.
So the long and the short of it is that I tripped and fell and landed on my face. You might be able to. I'm trying my best to cover it all up with makeup right now.
And it looks good. It's healing really well.
Yeah. So basically, I scraped the entire part off below my nose, and I bit through my lip, and I have don't get too close, but I do have a stitch still kind of just chilling out, hanging off my lip.
Yeah.
And I have stitches inside and some damage inside my mouth. And this was exactly 2 weeks ago. Like literally exactly like 2 weeks ago now. So I've healed really well, but honestly, I was moving a trash can to park. My friend Luke was with me. I tripped, I fell, face first, into this trash can. He turned around. He said it looked like I was just crawling into the trash can, which, again, I did.
And that did not alarm him? He wasn't thinking
was
like...
but then when I stood up, it was just blood everywhere.
Oh, gosh.
So the pictures of the immediate aftermath and then the next day, I'm just like, I'm like, you know the movie Hitch?
Yeah.
The allergic reaction thing? That's how I looked that entire weekend. And it was... I had family over the next day, and they knew that something had happened. And you know how when you see people and, like, they're trying to be chill about...
Yeah, they don't want to say it because they're trying not to bring it up and make it awkward.
Both my brothers, I looked in their eyes, and you could just tell they're like, oh, that's not good. Like,
right. And the thing is, you have to see on the attitude of the majority of the sex in the household, pretty much. Well, thank you for that. Now, back to your martial arts. I think you're, like, super badass at it.
Thank you.
I was like, oh, my gosh, and she works the sword. Now, I know that's a specific name for people who do that type of martial arts. So let's get into all of that. What type of martial arts do you do?
I practice wushu.
Okay.
I'm a black belt in wushu, and...
so she can really kick your butt.
So it's a general term for kung fu.
Okay.
So it kind of encompasses multiple different styles and forms, and specifically though, I do hand forms, and I do sword and staff and fan and all these really fun weapons. And my teacher is amazing. Master Hu, Shaolin Wushu Center. Shout out to them. They should, if you need a wushu teacher for whatever reason, he's the best he's the best here, and he might be the best in the world. He's amazing. He's from China. He was in all of the Shaolin Temple movies, and his family is my family. His daughter's my sister, Cheyenne. I love their family to death, and he's just such a wonderful, patient, kind teacher who, when I started, you start something and you don't necessarily know what it's going to do. I'm getting choked up and talking about this.
Oh my gosh!
Stop! You make me stop.
We always get emotional on the show whenever she's here.
Because I just want to talk to
I do want to know about you, so tell me.
So when I started my journey there, all I can say is that when you practice something and you do it regularly and with belief in yourself, and other people exercise their belief in you by not giving up on it, it gives you self-confidence, and it gives you a fearlessness and a courage to do other things in your life. And when I started there were a lot of things that I do now that I was not doing or actively pursuing. And I don't think that anything is a magic bullet in terms of fixing your life or anything. But when I started my journey there, I can very directly correlate how it transformed other areas of my life and gave me the courage to just kind of go after things a little bit more. And the atmosphere there is really wonderful. It's really hard training, but at the same time, just having this teacher who believes in you and who, 50 times over, 100 times over, how many times do I need to tell you to fix this one thing that you're doing wrong?
Yeah.
When you have someone who for 2 years tells you the same thing you're doing wrong very patiently and kindly, it gives you a belief in yourself that nothing else can.
Yeah.
And the same is true of dance. I've trained with the same dance teacher now for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll be in class. Hama Dance Center. Go there. He's great. He's a true classical jazz master. And when you find a teacher like that who for 20 years can tell you the same thing, count, spot, whatever.
Yeah.
And then one day when you look up at them, like me, because I'm a total jerk, but I'll look up and say, oh my gosh, when I do this, it really helps my turn.
Right.
And he's just like,
I've been telling you that this whole time.
how many decades more was I going to tell you that same thing? And I find that same sort of, I love to train. I'm not a dabbler. I'll try any sort of sport or whatever, but when I really find a teacher and commit to it, the practice and discipline is what, for me, changes everything in your life.
And I do agree with that. It feels like that when it comes to your martial arts, whatever you do, it's empowering and it teaches you discipline.
Yeah.
And sometimes we get a lot of comfort in that disciplinary period because we learn about ourselves, we're told about ourselves, and it can be difficult because sometimes I don't want to hear that. I know I'm right, but there's people who are telling you, I'm not trying to pick on you, I'm trying to give you something that will benefit you. And
Yeah, and I think also especially with martial arts, it's so hard. I mean, I know nothing. I've been doing it for a couple years now. I'm a black belt. And I'm a beginner. I am really truly a beginner. Every class I go into, whether it's dance or whatever it is, I always kind of just go in with this mindset of I know nothing. I'm a beginner, and I think that we as a society, we're so focused on the end goal always, or we're so focused on what is this going to get me, or what is this thing going to do to progress my career, make me more popular, all these things. And when you are just going in to any sort of practice, I imagine people who do all kinds of things experience this, yoga, gymnastics, whatever, CrossFitters, I'm sure a lot of people do this, but when you really go into something and when you, the discipline is going when you don't want to go.
Right.
When you are tired and you just ate lasagna and class is late at night and you really don't feel like going, or your leg hurts. I've worked through many injuries, where I've sprained my ankle. I've pulled my hamstring, and you still go to class.
Yeah.
And it's it's not like you're trying to overwork yourself. It's that this thing that is wrong with you is making you focus on other things and working on those other things. And so I think that it's really healthy for people to figure out, to a certain degree, what sort of thing they derive that sort of discipline from. And for some people, it could be knitting, it could be quilting, it could be, it could be just doing your daily painting or writing or whatever artistic thing it is.
Yeah.
Everybody has something that they do or love to do or could love to do. And when you do it just with no goal in mind, there's just a magic that happens.
That's the passion.
It's magic.
You're right. That's where your passion comes in, because there's going to be many days where you're injured, you're tired, or your body can't seem to get the physical energy to exert itself to do what you needed to do. But that passion, that fire, that I'm going to do this, I got this far, I'm fighting this hard, I'm not going to let this stop me. That's where it comes from. Because I feel like if you don't have passion, then you're not going to feel motivated. No. You have to feel that I love this, I want this, I need this, for beyond monetary reasons, just simply because I need to achieve this for my own psychological well-being, you know?
And I think, too, for me, when I started to tap into that more so with martial arts, because dance I've been doing so long that I kind of, not that I forget, but the discipline of it, you sort of just like sometimes take for granted when you do something every day, like brushing your teeth. That's a discipline,
Right.
And so it's like with the martial arts, what that transformed in me as an artist was, you do it when you don't feel like it. When you're writing, people, I think we've talked about this before.
Yeah.
But people look at art and writing or creativity. They ask me questions sometimes, or I've been asked, what do you do when you're not inspired, or how do you combat writer's block, or how do you make things when you are feeling stumped? And the answer is like, you do it anyways. Like you just go head in. Yeah. It's great that there's so much mystery and aura associated with creating and writing or writing screenplays or whatever. But it's such a discipline, and it's when you have a deadline, nobody cares how you feel. Like there's no feelings involved, there's no emotion involved. It's just you need to turn the thing in. Right. And I think that, school, I guess, teaches this or should teach this, or
if you're lucky like yourself to have people that come in and mentor you, because I feel like naturally when you're coming up, unless you're lucky enough to have parents who really instill that, and even if parents do instill that, it's always good to have the outside people come in and reinforce it, because sometimes like, oh, mom, dad, whatever. But if a person you respect comes and tells you the same thing, a professor, a martial art teacher, or anyone who you revere as someone of a special standard, then it will make all the difference. And I think that make all the difference.
And having someone, like, as cheesy as that sounds,
it's the truth.
It's super cheesy, but it's true. It's it's about believing in yourself and having faith that whatever you're doing is right. Yeah. To some degree. Unless you're like doing something destructive. Right.
And that's all in all true. And I do feel like for you, martial arts or anything you involve yourself in represents discipline. It represents perseverance and strength. Now, how has being in martial arts influenced your cinematography style? I always like to relay it to possibly creative inspirations you may have had.
Well, I've always loved, martial arts in movies and things because I love the choreography aspect of it. So, the choreography of the fight and then how you shoot the fight is just so cool to me. And it's like dance. I mean, it is dance and it's not, but in the film that I just did, the short film Club Rats.
Loved, by the way.
Oh, watch Club Rats. If you haven't watched Club Rats yet, it's online. And we're still using it to raise money for RAIN, which is the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network.
Great foundation as well. Yeah.
There's like a little moment in it where one of the club goers, one of the leads, does a takedown sequence with a guy in a club. You'll have to see it. It all makes sense. But yeah, so actually, Master Who, I went to him and, was kind of like, can you help me with this? And then literally he's like a legendary fight choreographer.
He's like, oh, it'll be a breeze.
Well, and what was so funny was, he's always just like, you can do it. Like, like, why do you, and it's just like that attitude where it's just like, but I don't know how to,
Yeah.
And he and I worked on it over time and sorted it out. He helped me out with the choreography. And then it was really exciting for me to work with Christian, who was doing the fight coordinating on set. To me, what was in that type of moment is when I'm using all my skills all at once. And that to me is so cool. Like, that's the best feeling ever, where you're like, I actually know how to demonstrate this and show someone how to do the move, and then I'm actually storyboarding it, and then I'm dealing with the actor and helping them get a good performance. And
Convergence is the best.
And then when you talk about cinematography, like how is it lit? And our cinematographer did a great job. And it's just like when for me, creativity is all about sort of having those moments where everything you do comes together, and you're like, whoa, like, all those annoying days of studying this or training this or whatever kind of feed into this one moment. And again, it's just one little moment in one short film. But to me, that was a really exciting thing to see come to fruition.
That's what we prepare for. I feel like everyone's in a preparation state when they start off. You feel like, oh, I'm not where I want to be, or I'm trying to accomplish this. And it's everything you do is preparing you for that single moment.
And my goal is, I want to write and direct and choreograph movie musicals and musicals too. And so I started releasing music recently, and a lot
We're going to get into that later. We're going to get into all that later.
But what I was going to say was what I found, what I've been thinking about lately, what I found was interesting was a lot of people were very shocked by it. And I was like, no, like, my entire life I've been a dancer. My entire life I've been a choreographer. Even taking the move from being a film executive, I worked a desk job where I was at a film company, and so much experience working at these companies. When I said I want to go direct, people were like, you want to do what? And I was like, well, I've always done that. And they're like, well, what do you mean you've always done that? And it's like, I feel like there's a real sort of, people really want to put you in a box, and they really want to label you because it's comfortable for them. Yeah. Not because it's good for you. But you're a woman who's doing a million different things too. Yeah. You have so many different talents and so many different projects you're working on, and film and this and that, and it's like people like to label other people because it makes them feel comfortable with approach or comfortable with that. And to me, I'm always like, I love when people tell me they have some weird hidden talent or passion that I didn't know about. Like, that's the most exciting thing to me, is when someone you don't expect to do something does it or whatever. And I feel like that's kind of what I live for. Right. It's just like, let's corral all of our weird talents together and make stuff.
And that's the best thing.
It's so cool.
I mean, it makes it so diverse and just so more interesting because it's so multifaceted. Yeah. And like you said, sometimes people don't know because you're not the one to brag about it. You're just doing it because it's what you love.
Just do it. Yeah.
It's just life for you. And people might think it's something special. And it's always like, I didn't know you were that special. Like, where did that come in? And it's just like, this has just been who I am. It's what I am.
With martial arts, especially, when I was a teenager, I tried to study martial arts. I've started and stopped multiple times over my life. This last round. And I always would like, maybe it's just like from kids being mean to you or whatever. But when I started, like, I was made fun of so much in school. I had my girlfriends make fun of me. Yeah, and so I quit because I was like, 13, 14. And
because it was different, or was it because it was more associated with a man?
Yeah, people just say weird things.
Okay.
To you, it's like totally unbridled criticism. Like,
okay.
And especially at that age. And
school can be rough. I do.
Yeah.
Understand.
So I quit, and then I started again in my 20s, and I quit again because people told me, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, And it's, for me, it's like, I've always sort of hidden that. Even when I started doing it again, like, I would just say I'm going to work out or like, you know, and I wouldn't tell people how excited I was about it. And I certainly wouldn't post anything online. Like, you know, it hasn't been until this last year where I've actually started doing it publicly, I guess.
What?
Because I was like, again, this is just like lack of self-confidence or whatever, but you don't want the negativity. And so I think for me, one of the hardest things, even as an adult, like, you know, you'd think I'd be over it at this point, but like, I spent so much time not doing things or saying I don't do things because I didn't want, you know, because of other people, really, which is like the dumbest thing ever, you know, and I'm finally at that point where I can just say this is what I do.
And it's so crazy because whenever I saw women who did martial arts or anything that was more commonly associated with being a male sport or more common amongst guys, I felt so in awe of them because martial arts is one of those things. Like when I was a kid, I used to watch Rush Hour in different movies. I'm like, oh, I want to be Jackie Chan or the other female characters. And then you get into it and realize it's beyond just the fighting. It's the discipline. It's the mind training. It's the, you know, perseverance. And like you said, you get injured. It's very strenuous sport. Yeah. And so for me, I was just always amazed with anyone who did the sport, especially women, because you know, it's just a lot of combat, a lot of physical training. So to hear you say that you were kind of ashamed of it or you wanted to be secretive about it, it's just crazy, but it's good that you resolved that.
I'm also like, no, again, I've always been a snowboarder.
Okay. Right? Yeah.
Same thing. I'd be in high school. All I wanted to do was go snowboarding. Like literally, I would rather go snowboarding than do almost anything else in high school. And it was one of those things where like, you know, kids are mean. Like, and again, like, now I think it's hilarious.
Because they were jealous. But you don't understand that when you're a kid.
Yeah, but when you're a girl and, you know, and I've never, I mean, I always just dress how I want.
Right.
Better or worse. Probably shouldn't let me dress myself. But yeah, so, you know, there's always sort of that criticism that goes along with all of it. And anyways, now it's a journey. I don't, you know, like I think I'm always wrestling with all these things. I think it's good for people to say that they're not they're not like, I'm not self-confident, you know, I still have demons. I still have things that I'm struggling with. And so even though I may do something or post something online that looks cool, like at the end of the day, all I want is for like someone to say good job. And that's, you know, and I know that comes from me. I have to say good job. I get that. But it doesn't go away. Like, it's not like it gets better. It just gets worse.
Anytime you're doing something different or what people deem as different for a particular person, then you're going to get a lot of flack, you know? So that's life. And that's, hey, everyone struggles with that. There's days you're going to wake up, it's like, okay, what the heck am I doing? But you remember, that's what I love to do. Now, what is your favorite martial arts move?
My favorite martial arts move?
Yeah. Give us your wushu favorite.
Well, I won't say I'm the best at it, but one of my big journeys has been trying to learn how to jump, which is, in my old age, challenging. And so there's a move that's a butterfly. And I call mine the trash fly.
Oh my God.
I've called it the trash fly forever because it's like kind of a butterfly, but kind of not. And so the fact that I can like do one now.
Like, how does it go? I know you can't imitate it in here.
It's basically like it's a cartwheel it's a sideways cartwheel where you don't use your hands. So it's not an aerial where you go over this way.
Okay.
You go this way. I actually do it in that video.
Oh, okay. I think, yeah.
Like the little jump.
Yeah, I haven't been able to do cartwheels or anything since I was like 6 years old. So,
but it's like that's one move where like it's just been years of the same thing over and over again. And then you hurt something, and then you do. And it's like I actually was doing one in a tournament last year. Yeah. And pulled my hamstring. So it's like it's one of those moves where like the fact that I can even do a kind of passable one is such a victory for me. Yeah. And I'm working on aerial is the cartwheel with no hands. As a kid, I did gymnastics. I've never been able to do one of those. That's a goal.
Really?
I might break my face, but
I feel because you're a petite woman, so I always thought petite people had more of an advantage to do the aerials because we're smaller.
It's completely a fear training thing. So that's a goal. So maybe next time I see you, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That's like a 5-year goal.
Well, at least you can teach me how to do a simple cartwheel. I can't even do one with hands.
Oh, yeah. We'll go outside after.
All right. So you also direct feature films, short films, plays, and music videos.
I haven't directed a feature yet.
I saw somewhere that
That's
you
my
were.
goal.
I thought you. Okay, so I went online and it says you were in, I think, post production or pre production for co-ed.
Yeah. So co-ed is a film that I wrote that I would love to direct. I'm also attached to direct a horror film.
Okay.
Called Tender Prey. So. Powers that be.
So you're in the process, but not
I'm
official.
In the process,
okay.
Yeah. So,
okay.
But that is
double cross for you. Now, in regards to the other things you have directed, what is your creative process when you direct, and how does it differ depending on the project?
So I direct film and theater.
Mm-hmm.
Both. I don't even think they're the same skill at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's certain things that you do in both,
Mm-hmm.
but process-wise for me, they're both very different skills.
Yeah.
I can start with theater because that's my original background. I went to Fordham University for theater directing,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to Cal Arts for theater directing too. But I've always been first and foremost a theater director, and when I'm working on a play, plays are inherently more word-driven. So in a film, you can cut from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, and so it's very visual. It's all about what you see and what you hear. Theater is about the words. It's poetic. It's oftentimes elevated language. It's oftentimes one person on stage. The show Women on the Verge that I did, we won an NAACP award. We're going back to New York with it, which is very exciting.
Yes, I still need to see that.
Super exciting. Faith Collins is the actor in it. She is phenomenal. Don't get me started on her because I will get choked up. She's so amazing. She makes me cry.
Yes.
But when I worked with her, for example, a lot of times, and I got to be honest with Faith, my job is to get out of the way because when it's theater, your job is as a director is to, yes, you have to figure out the blocking and where everyone's standing and how you're going to light it and all those things that inherently go to making it look good. But your number one job is to create a space where you are any and all and every audience member who could possibly walk into that building and watch that play. And you have to embody all of the audience members on different days, good days, bad days. 12-year-old who's not interested in the play.
Yeah.
And you have to create a space where that actor can perform the role and can transform into the character and can trust unconditionally with just you in the room. Like sometimes you don't even have a stage manager or someone. It's just you in the room. And so creating that space for their performance to happen is extremely important. And where that carries over into film is that as a film director, everyone has different opinions about how they do things. This is just me.
Yes.
So don't take any of this as Bible. This is literally how I always see my number one function on set is to make sure that the actor, one, feels safe. So I'm very protective of the performance. Like, I don't care what's happening. All I care about is that actor feels safe, knows where they are, knows what time period they are, knows what the stakes are, like that they are able to feel comfortable enough to be vulnerable because acting is so vulnerable. Yeah. And
so we are back. We took a mini break so we all could get some water.
Get some water.
Yes. We had to take a little water break, but we're back now. And we were discussing you and directing in general.
So what I was saying was that whether it's film or theater, acting is such a vulnerable place to be, and you're asking people to go to places mentally, physically, that they wouldn't normally go. We're all make-believing together. We're all corralling our resources and playing this elaborate game of make-believe. Yes. And so to really have an authentic performance on the stage or the screen, as the director, your job is to do whatever is necessary to get that actor to a place where they can do that. And it's different for every actor. It's different for every project. Club Rats, for example, was different experience. We had an ensemble cast, but, you know, we had 2 guys in the film who were in a very vulnerable position.
Yeah.
Again, you'll see it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I'm always asking myself, like, what can I do to make them more comfortable or make them more uncomfortable, you know?
Yeah.
Whatever the thing is that needs to be done to help them achieve the performance, that's what's most smart. And then, you know, obviously with film directing, there's a lot of preparation in terms of your shot list and how you're going to move about the space and conversations with pretty much every head of department, you know, so there's a lot of like mechanics and technical work that goes into film directing, and I don't discount any of that. And there are people who like that is their main focus, and they make brilliant films, not worrying too much about the actors, you know.
Yeah.
Some directors are just like, you know, the actor's job is to show up and do a good job, and I like those people get great results too.
Yeah.
For me, I always go back to the actor though, like. Even if it's just, you know, a short music video, how do you make the person performing for the camera comfortable enough to stare right at the camera and say what they need to say, or dance, or do whatever they need to do?
I feel like the fact you're able to be vulnerable does help, especially when you're doing projects that are emotion-based.
Yes.
And they're really are dramatic or just diving into some really deep connections that you need them to make with the audience to bring home the essence of whatever project you're doing. You have to get them to open up with being trustworthy and allowing them to feel safe with you and have the ability to resonate with them so everyone can have a connection, and it just makes for all the better projects. And like you said, people can do without that. It could just be strictly come in, do your scene, and leave. But I feel like it makes it more of a fun and workable environment when everyone is just meshing together.
Yeah, and I also didn't... The vulnerability thing is interesting because I actually didn't start off that way in my career. I always, you have these like, we're fed a lot of images of male directors, mainly because we need more female directors.
Yeah.
But male directors, and there's this like pointing and ordering around, you know, like
the big blowhorn. Yeah.
Yeah, the bull. Yeah. It's like, and so I when I started out, when I would work with actors, I always felt like I needed to act like I knew all the answers and I was the smartest person in the room and I had it all on, and that was going to make them feel good.
Yeah.
Right? And I've learned over time that the opposite is actually true.
Yeah.
And that the most powerful thing you can say is, geez, I don't know, let's figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, let's figure this out together.
Yeah.
Not go stand over there and do this. Because I think there's a big misconception that somehow as the director you're supposed to know all of the answers, and the reality is that if you're the smartest person in the room, I always believe this in anything, if I'm the smartest person in the room, we're all in trouble. Like, because I trip and fall into trash cans, so you know like someone, you know, it's like it's like,
and it's not funny because you were injured, but yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. And I think that you know, I have a lot of friends who are actors. And, again, everyone just wants to be told you're doing a good job. Like, literally, like, in life, just we all want to be told we're doing a good job.
Yeah.
But for actors, like, sometimes that's all you need to say is you're doing a good job. And they go, great. And they do more of the brilliance that they're doing, you know?
It's good to be cheered on while you're doing it, to let them know you're on the right path and you're capturing the character.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, God, this is a whole other side tangent, but, like, but, you know, in criticism, when it comes to, you know, any criticism of art, whether it's film, theater, music, dance, whatever, you know, sometimes people give criticism or say things just because they feel like they need to say something critical, because then you know that you saw, read, watched whatever it was they're doing. And I've learned over time, I think when I started off, you know, I would get handed screenplays, read this, tell me what you think, read this, tell me what you think. And I always thought naively that, like, wow, the more critical I am of this, or like the more I, you know, say negative things about this, the smarter I look. You know? And now I'm like, you want me to, what do you think? Good job. It's not like I don't have thoughts about it.
Yeah.
But I'm very quick now to, when I give work to people to look at, or people give me work, I'm always like, tell me what it is that you would like to gain from me giving you feedback on your work.
Keyword feedback.
Yeah, like tell me what it, you know, if you were to send me something and you were to say, what do you think of this? It's a poem.
Yeah.
Right? well, what are what things as a poet have you been working on, or what do you plan to do with the poem? Like, how can I help you get the poem to the next thing that it is that you want to do with it?
Yeah.
And the same thing's true of film, of performances, of actors, of anything. And so I've kind of over time learned that sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing. Like,
especially when it comes to artistic things and creativeness, everyone's vision is different. So it's hard to go to someone else and say, what do you think of it? Because they might have different opinion because their creative process is different.
Absolutely.
Or they have a different vision of what artists should be, or artistic visions. It's just different. We're all individuals in this game, as I like to say. So I feel like that's kind of difficult. But if you can go to someone and say, what do you need to work on? What can I help you work on? What do you think you need to improve upon?
Yeah,
it makes all the better.
Yeah, and I think...
Because at the end of the day, what you could probably work on.
Of course, and I'm the first person to, like, want help with stuff. Like, I love collaborating. I love working with other creators.
Yeah.
That's life to me. So,
yeah.
So I think always when you're looking for feedback for people, or when you're looking for criticism or artistic criticism, you can never take it personally.
Right.
Because people's criticism of you says more about who they are than who you are.
Mm-hmm.
You and I both eat French fries and ketchup.
Yeah.
We have different opinions about even that. I don't think there's enough ketchup.
Right. Some people drown it. Some people like to dip. It's just the way it is.
And at the end of the day, we're both still having a great experience.
But
we're having a different experience of something so basic. And
exactly.
Of eating, And I think with art and with the internet, especially now, and with Twitter, with Instagram, with all of it, we have all opened up all of our lives to criticism. Mm-hmm. We've opened up who we are to criticism, and sometimes people, in order to be seen, feel the need to comment on other people's stuff.
Right.
Even if it's not artistic.
Yes.
You put a picture of again, you ate French fries and ketchup. Someone's got an opinion about it. And so it's like we've sort of entered this phase where everybody is an expert on everything and an expert on nothing.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it's good or bad, but I think if you want to create art of any kind, you just need to be really, really aware of what it is you're trying to do.
Yeah.
If you go into something with a wayward goal or when someone tells me all the time, so long time now, people come up, I have this idea for a movie.
Yeah.
I've got this idea for a movie. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
And I always say the same thing. I think you should write it down. I think you should write it. Well, what do you mean I should write it? I think you should write it.
You know how it should be, what you want.
It's your idea. Yeah, it's your idea. And I think what they're actually asking for, because I've been in this position, what they're actually asking me for is permission to go make their art.
Exactly.
And nobody needs permission. I don't need permission. You don't need permission. And I would do that too sometimes. Like, what do you think of this? And it's like, if this person, if anyone can talk you out of anything, you're not supposed to do it.
Right.
If I can talk you out of hosting the show,
I'm also not into it. I want to do it.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not. It's
yeah.
And I think with any sort of artistic endeavor, if someone can talk you out of it, then you should do it.
I do feel like that and that all boils down back to your passion and how much you really want it. Because if you feel validated in what you're doing and feel like this has a purpose, I'm headstrong in it, then go out and do it, or at least attempt to do it. Now, you're also a singer-songwriter, and I want to get into this before we end the show. You just released the music video for the Tofu song. I got such Avril Lavigne vibes. I thought it was so adorable.
Thank you.
And also the snowboarding was cool. That was like a fun fact for me until you said it earlier, but when I first saw the video, I'm like, she snowboards too? Like, what else does she do? Now, what does it mean to you to be a multifaceted woman? Because it's obvious you do a lot of different things. You have a lot of hidden talents. So what does that mean to you?
Well, I think I'm very fortunate.
Yes.
Like I'm very blessed. I was given a lot of good opportunities as a kid. I've been given a lot of good opportunities as an adult. So I don't take any of that for granted.
Yes.
And I think when you feel the impulse or urge to do something, or when deep down that you should be doing something, and I don't know how to describe that, because there's no way that you experience it other than you're just quiet and you hear this thing that needs to happen.
Yes.
And to me, if your life is about stepping into that purpose, stepping into what you're here to do, stepping in what God has anointed you to do, or what whatever it is you believe, whether it's just universal purpose, like having the courage to step into that no matter what is a big challenge. But for me, that's sort of been what I've been working towards. And when we talk about music, a year ago, if you told me I was going to release a music video, I would have told you were crazy. Like, in fact, I probably did tell people they were crazy, you know? And I actually, I started hanging out with, I call them my Jam Fam. I'm part of this group called Jam Nation.
Okay.
And it started by my friend Ben and my friend Lucas. And every week, we get together and people play music. And I started going because I kept hearing this song in my head, the Tofu song. I heard it for 10 years. I heard this song.
Yes.
When you ask what's going on in my head, that's what's going on, that song. I listened to it all day. And so I originally had asked my friend Ben, I said, hey, do you know anyone who knows anything about like recording music? And just super casual. Oh yeah, come to this thing. That entire year, I've made this family of friends, of musicians and supportive artists and just wonderful people. Like they're just my family. Yeah. But in that year, my journey was about the Wizard of Oz. It's like the journey was realizing that I just do it. Yeah. Like yes, if people help you, it's better sometimes. You can get better produced tracks, whatever. But like, I just did it. There was there was no permission given. It was quite frankly people not helping me do it. Yes. That forced me to do it. Yeah. And so in that journey, what I realized was I need to do this. I don't know why. I don't know what the purpose is, but I hear music and I sit down and I play music. I've been playing more piano. It's like I do this privately right now, and I know that I need to share it. And I don't know what that means. It opens you up to a whole other world of criticism. Yeah. I'm sure everyone has opinions about what I do and don't do, but for me, the pain of not doing it was greater. If I had to listen to that song in my head for the next 50 years or whatever, I would probably go insane. Yeah. And I would sing it while I was driving and while I was in the, and again, like, I didn't know what that meant. I thought, I was naive. Like, I thought maybe, someone will like it and then they'll turn it into a little song. Yeah. I didn't know that I'd be, producing the track, recording it, figuring how you release it, doing the artwork, shooting the video, editing the video. Like, I didn't know that any of that was where I was headed with it. Right. And I certainly didn't think I'd want to make more. Like, I didn't think that I'd be wanting to record more, And now I'm working with some other producers, which is wonderful. Yeah.
Excited for that.
Yeah, I'm excited. I have a couple of friends I'm working with. My friend Lucas Bacher, he's a composer. He actually did all the music in Club Rats. He composed the music. He produced a track for me called Pushin' 40. And again, it's the belief thing, like having a friend help you, believe in you, and say like, you can do better. You know what I mean? Like, I think like that little push is like, like, okay.
It's like a nudge kind of giving you that.
It's like, okay.
I can go a little further than this.
Yeah, and like working with him was a challenge because he's amazing. He's a classically trained musician. Yeah. He plays every instrument.
Musicians will be the utmost honest with you. It's like, okay.
Yeah. And it's like, he, I know, I don't know what my limits are, but I know what I'm capable of. Right. So it's like, that's different for everybody. Yes. And I don't think you need someone's permission to do that.
No. And also it's good that you're very in tune with what you are supposed to be doing. Drake once said, everyone dies, but not everyone lives. And like when I was like 16, I was like, okay, what does that mean? Everyone leaves. Everyone lives and not everyone, whatever. And okay, so I recently had a discussion with someone in my life and I told them that. And I just felt like you said, the pain of not doing something is worse than doing it.
Well, it's anxiety. I mean, that's where people's anxiety and all these things that creep up on you, it's because the image that you're putting out in, this is my theory, again.
Yeah.
But the image that you're putting out there, or the self that you're living in the world, is so far removed from who you really are that there's just this huge chasm, there's this gap, and when you live in that space, it's very painful.
Yeah.
And I know this because I've lived in that space. You know, I've lived in that space where I've, you know, worked at a desk job, and I'm wearing an outfit I hate.
Yeah.
And I'm working for people who are mean to me.
Yeah.
And I'm really trying to get someone's approval who I don't really care about. And, you know, and again, and you know, and not everyone, again, like I said, I'm very blessed. Like, not everybody has the opportunity, the bandwidth, the resources, the privilege to do these things. And so for me, when you're given that light or that moment or that ability, it's just like you are wasting everything when you don't do it.
You know.
And fear is
the root of all evil.
It is.
I feel like sometimes people get in a position where they don't want to do something, or they're too afraid to do something because of that fear. Yeah. And I always say doing what you're not supposed to be doing, or whatever higher power has made for you to do, is the same as dying. Yes. Because you're in a position where you dread what you're doing. It's so robotic, mechanical. You can't see what your true passion is, where you're supposed to be headed. You're just doing the motion. It's the same as dying. You know, you're not living in essence.
Well, and you're wasting time. And again, everybody's in different places. But for me, when I had a moment where the only thing holding me back from doing things was fear, it was like, what are you afraid of? Like, I think really figuring out what it is you're afraid of and being honest and starting to journal about that and get, like, for me, it was like all about just kind of figuring out, like, what are you afraid of?
Once you get out of the fear of failing, because you're going to fail once you accept that.
There's fear of success,
you know, right. You know,
fear of success.
And like you said, I mean, people are in different positions. I'm fortunate, like yourself, you know, to have a good support system where people around me, a nucleus that really wants me to succeed. So it's a lot different if you feel like, oh, I have to go through so much crap to get to my destination, you know, and that takes a lot of perseverance and self-determination. And it's difficult, but if you have the opportunity and you're just too afraid to take it, just jump. You can worry about how you're gonna fly later.
I think the fear of success is fascinating because we're in LA, right?
Yeah, so right.
Everybody's trying to do something.
Yes.
Every single person here is trying to do something and doing something they don't want to do something they do want to do.
Yes.
And I think I honestly, when I meet people, I always try to figure out what it is they really want to be doing. Because to me, if you can help people, even just admit it.
Yeah.
Like, it's so exciting when I'm, you know, talking to someone who has nothing to do with film or whatever. And then you get to the real story that they came out to LA because they really wanted to be an actor.
Yeah.
Or they really wanted to be a whatever. Or
exactly.
And back to Jam Nation, what I love about Jam Nation, and we've been hosting events. You need to come to one of these things, by the way.
Oh, well, send it. You have my number now. Just give it to me.
We're doing a huge event on July 13th in Santa Monica.
Okay.
It's called Controlled Chaos, and it's going to be merging music, tech, and art.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, come. You can come.
Am I going to get a VIP pass? Like, what's going on?
But what's been so beautiful about that experience has been seeing people who haven't played music in a long time, or haven't picked up instruments in a long time, or who haven't admitted that they like to do something.
Yeah.
Like myself, like, I still don't even, like, I feel uncomfortable even just opening my mouth in front of people.
Yes.
It's like, but like, to tap into that thing where someone really loves to do something and they just haven't been doing it is so beautiful. Like, it's magical. And it's like, you know, I think on Earth, like, we all should be, or should do our best to, like, help people figure out what that thing is. And it doesn't matter how old someone is or how young someone is.
Yes.
It's like, if you really love cooking, like, how can
do what you need to do?
But, like, how can we help you? You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm always like, how can, you know, like, how, what can I do to
And it's
to
good to find people who are willing to have that much faith in you that they want to help, you know. So, but thank you so much, Jeni, for coming. It was so fun. We had a great conversation.
Thank you.
You know, it's a lot different than last time. Last time it was more formal. We got down to a lot of who you are, which is great. And you're welcome back anytime.
Thank you. I will come back.
And so since it is Flashback Friday, and I always like to have a Flashback Friday song of the day, I'll let you do the honors of picking it.
Well, obviously, wait, can it be Janet Jackson's If?
Oh, God, girl. Yes, I'm so happy you said that. Yes, I will do Janet Jackson's If. And she is going to be out here soon. I believe in like July or something.
What?
So I'm going to see if I can get some type of tickets for that. And she got layaway prices, girl. So we're going to go ahead and hear Janet Jackson's If. Everyone have a happy Friday. Thank you, Jeni, for coming once again. And yes.